back with episode number 2 of the Minnesota State Referee Committee podcast. This month we're going to review the concept of SIAPOA for serious foul play, and then once again delve into some youth clips to review some basic rules, including the wait and see principle for offside, and discuss the concept of drop zone positioning. The first clip this month is from the MLS match between Columbus Crew and Chicago Fire, played on June 23rd. Let's have a look.
Sebastian Gruzzini. Oh, he had Pardo cruising down the left side, but anticipated by the Crew.
And that's a really bad tackle from Segaris. Wow, straight red.
That changes things. It's Kevon George down on the field for the Columbus Crew.
A little overzealous Segaris there. He's not a malicious player. And even in going in on that tackle, it didn't have a reckless feel, but you see his leg is up off the turf there, and it kind of glided up on George's shin. Hopefully that's just a really bad...
Before we start breaking down this incident, we have to review a concept called SIAPOA, an acronym that we use to remember the parameters associated with serious foul play. S is for speed of the tackle. This is a reference to the speed at which a defender goes into the tackle. Faster the speed, the more likely a collision is to do serious harm. I is for intent. Now we have to be careful to not read too much into the word intent here. It's pretty rare that a referee can read the intent of a player, such as going into a tackle with the intention of cleaning somebody out. But every once in a while there are situations where a referee can sense that a player is frustrated and see that frustration translated into a loss of control, so it can matter. The first A is for aggressive nature of the tackle. Players can go in with care, or sometimes they fly in with little regard for the safety of the opponent, looking to take the ball, but appearing to have no sense of well-being for the player in possession. P is for the position of the tackler's legs. There are several factors that go into this, but 3 in particular greatly increase the danger level of the tackle. The first is a locked knee, which turns the leg into the rough equivalent of a lance in a jousting tournament. The second is the exposure of the studs and the risk created by doing so. If you have any doubts about this effect, take a soccer cleat and a flat shoe like a tennis shoe, then slam the sole of each shoe against your thigh and see which one hurts worse. Finally, the height of the legs increases risk as well. Contact with the attacker's leg on the side of the ankle, in the Achilles, midway up the tibia, or on the knee all can result in serious injury when combined with some of the other factors. O is for opportunity to play the ball. While this parameter could actually be applied to many tackles, when combined with the presence of other factors already listed, a tackle where there is little opportunity to play the ball worsens the severity of the tackle in judging for serious foul play. The second A is for match atmosphere. As with opportunity to play the ball, this parameter rarely carries enough weight to single-handedly turn a challenge into a send-off. However, it certainly has an impact at the extremes. A particularly heated match sometimes requires a higher level of misconduct, perhaps pushing an incident that might normally sit somewhere between a yellow and a red card into red card territory. And, one and the same, a match that has been relatively tame might allow the referee to downgrade one of those in-between challenges to yellow. How does SIAPOA apply to this tackle? Let's watch the tackle and look at each of the 6 parameters. As the Fire's Gonzalo Segaris comes into this tackle, the speed element is clearly present. He slides in from distance rather than challenging the Crew's Kevin George from an upright position. Intent? Probably not here. Part of the intent factor is knowing the players, and Segaris is not typically a player who plays out of control. His first touch is long and results in this send-off challenge, but it's fair to say that he's probably not targeting George out of frustration. Of course, it would help to see the first 28 minutes of the match before jumping to this conclusion. Aggression? While aggression isn't normally a feature of Segaris' style of play, in this case, this is a pretty aggressive tackle. He's going in hard rather than with care for potential contact and outcome from that contact. The reason for this aggressive challenge is Segarra's first touch. At the MLS midseason clinic, emphasis was placed on paying attention to bad touches by players. Bad touches often lead to bad decisions. In this case, Segarra's bad touch results in him making an aggressive and risky challenge. Referees need to be on their toes when a bad touch sets up a player for a challenge that might end up being reckless or involve excessive force. What really gets Segarra's here is the position of his legs, which becomes readily apparent on this slow motion replay. All three features of leg position are present here. The foot is high off the ground, and he makes contact halfway up the shin of George. The knee is locked. The studs are exposed. Of the 6 parameters for SIAPOA, it's this one that condemns Segarra's to a send-off. The fact that the other features are present are just icing on the cake. Opportunity to play the ball is certainly present. When Segarra's leaves his feet, he has a very good chance to take the ball. And Chicago is up 2-0 28 minutes into this match at home. There have been 10 fouls to this point, a slightly increased rate for the average MLS match, but no other cards. So atmosphere probably not present. This challenge is straight red on plenty of other merits. This brings up an important point. While a challenge that has all 6 parameters present is an easy red card, we have to be careful to not talk ourselves out of a 100% send-off challenge just because some of the elements are missing. On a percentage basis, only 50% of the SIAPOA parameters exist on this particular challenge. But we have to remember that Law 12 specifically states that any challenge that can cause serious injury must be sanctioned as serious foul play. The speed, aggressive nature of this challenge, and position of the legs clearly define this tackle as one capable of causing serious harm. The send-off was the absolutely correct decision. For Minnesota youth situations this week, we're going to start with a rather interesting offside decision. This decision comes from a free kick restart.
That's it, you're on!
The ball is played long from the free kick. Alas, even with a wide view of this play, we cannot see all of the defenders in the camera field, and thus we can't say for sure if the attacker that is closer to the far touchline is actually offside. As the camera pans to focus on the play, a defender comes into view that likely had a significant impact on this decision. But we just can't say where that defender was when the ball was played. For the sake of simplicity, let's assume that the attacker was in fact in an offside position when the ball was played by the teammate. When we look at the position of the other attacker, the one closer to the near touchline, we can say unequivocally by using a freeze frame that this attacker is onside when the ball is played. As we look to evaluate the AR's technique, this distinction is about to become very crucial. Note that the AR at the bottom of the screen stops to signal offside immediately. Again, we're going to give the AR the benefit of the doubt here and say that that far attacker was offside. The ball comes down, takes a few hops, and the offside attacker then fires a shot that is blocked by the goalkeeper with his hand outside of the penalty area. It is absolutely a fair evaluation to say that if it were not for this action by the goalkeeper, the ball probably would have entered the goal. Here's the rub. Throw out offside here, we've got a send-off offense for denying a goal-scoring opportunity by handling. The offside call saves the keeper from being sent off. And again, we're giving the benefit of the doubt here, so the decision by the AR is correct. But the problem isn't whether he was right or wrong. The problem is that he brought his flag up too early. At this point, with the ball coming down, we don't know which attacker is going to end up playing the ball. Our instructions as ARs are to wait and see in a situation where both an offside and an onside attacker have an opportunity to play the ball. The AR should not have raised this flag until the offside player clearly was the player that would play the ball, in this case by touching it. If the onside player gets to the ball and fires a shot that is blocked by the hand of the goalkeeper outside the penalty area, we now have a game-critical decision, a red card, that's being overturned by an over-anxious assistant referee. Fortunately, in this clip, everything works out correctly for the AR, but we need to remind ourselves to wait and see when an onside player has an opportunity to play the ball. Raising the flag too early could result in an error, with an onside player being denied the opportunity to play the ball legally, or even impact the behavior of the rest of the players, such as the defenders halting their runs when they see the flag go up, only to have an onside player run onto the ball while the referee correctly waves the AR down. Our final topic for July is the concept of the drop zone. This is a positioning concept and it is applied to many different situations, but for this presentation we're going to focus on how it applies to the goalkeeper punting the ball. Note in this clip where the ball comes down from the punt, as opposed to the positioning of the referee. The keeper's punt lands a good 20 to 30 yards up the field from the referee. The problem with the referee's positioning pertains to the types of challenges and fouls that occur when the ball is in the air. Players will give small pushes in the back, or back into opponent's position behind them, or jump into players from behind, or in a worst case scenario, throw forearms or elbows to the head or neck region. Blows to the head are of particular concern since the 2009 directive was issued on contact to the head. It is imperative for the referee to be in position to judge these challenges and call fouls when they occur. If players get away with them, the level of physical contact will slowly increase through the game, as will the frustration level of the players. The obvious elbow to the head committed by a forward in the second half could be a result of the 5 elbows he took to the lower back in the first half. But if you see and call those little ones early, the players will quit trying to get away with them. So how can we catch these? By taking up a position that puts us in the drop zone, the area where the ball will come down and where we can visualize the challenge from the side. When these challenges are viewed from 20 yards upfield, we can't clearly see what the trailing player is doing to the back of the player in front. But when we put ourselves in position to see the space between the players, we can now see the pushes, the jersey grabs, and even those subtle elbows that matter. We're not trying to pick on the referees in these clips. This is a rampant problem in referee positioning at most of the sub-professional levels of the game. It's the tendency of the referee when the goalkeeper takes possession of the ball to relax and take his or her time getting back up the field. But we need to get ourselves ready for the next phase of play, not take a 5 to 10 second rest break. We see the same mistake made at every level of youth games, from U19 all the way down to U9. Get to where you need to be, then take your break. Don't stand there and watch the ball sail over your head. Additionally, once the ball is kicked, you need to be able to adjust your position so you can still be in the right spot when it comes down. Don't just assume because you're standing near the center circle that it's going to come right to you. Notice in this clip that the referee fails to get into the drop zone, then calls a foul on the white player for jumping into the green player. From his angle, 20 yards up the field, this probably looks like the green player was preparing to head or chest trap the ball, and then the white player bowls over the top of him. But in slow motion, we see that the white player is jumping relatively straight up and just leaning his upper torso over the top of the green player to play the ball. Meanwhile, watch as the green player makes no motion to play the ball and instead backs into the white player, cuts underneath him, and then falls down. And the referee calls the foul on white, even though it's the green player who A, makes no attempt to play the ball, B, initiates the contact, and C, actually cuts his body under the midair suspended white player, an action which places the white player at risk for an awkward landing. This is a foul, but it's charging by green, not jumping at by white. The referee gets the direction of the foul wrong because he's not seeing the challenge from the correct angle. Finally, this month we're going to take a quick look at a special program for referees held in early July at the Prairie Cup, a weekend tournament put on by Eden Prairie Soccer Club in a suburb of the Twin Cities. Some of you may be aware of the aggressive mentoring and educational programs put on by U.S. Soccer at its developmental academy weekends, playoffs, and also at U.S. Youth Soccer regional and national championships. EPSC has applied that model to its own local tournament, allowing 10 to 20 referees each year to enter the Prairie Cup Referee Academy program.
I'm Matt Tiano, I'm the referee assigner here in Eden Prairie. One of our biggest advantages, and many thanks go out to the Eden Prairie Board, Joe Young, Jim Printup, among others, is our resources available to us. We have national referees, former national referees, referees that have refereed at the highest level who are willing to give back to our up-and-coming referees. That's really something that no one else can offer. What we've done here is we've created an environment where our up-and-coming referees over the course of one weekend, are able to referee many games, and we talk about situations that happened in them, what went right, what didn't go so right. And we're not talking about, hey, was that a foul or wasn't that a foul? We're trying to get them to think about the big picture. What could go wrong next time? Those are the type of questions that we're trying to get these referees to answer, and I think it's a huge success, and much thanks goes out to the people that have supported this and made it a reality.
One of the things that has really worked well at Eden Prairie and the support that we've gotten from the organization itself is the fact that we allow to work with referees in a mentoring type program. The mentoring program is based on a simple principle of information that the referee can easily digest. We use a process called the 4 M's that is duplicatable as well as easy to understand for referees. The key to this is building them and getting rid of the bad habits early, having them focus on what they do to build their strength as an official, and on time do these on more competitive games. Our philosophy for assigning is win-win. Our philosophy for mentoring is to build a better ship, better referee per se. One of the ways we do that here is we assign referees, like I said, into a win-win situation. They are put on challenging games with not over their head, but ones that will stretch their abilities. And we work with them through the mentoring process. Our mentors observe them on the field, provide feedback after the games, and then the referees are able to take that information and use it in their next application. Building off of that at the tournament, here at the Prairie Cup tournament, we brought in some people who are part of the mentoring program to do the Referee Academy. The Referee Academy is based on the fact that we bring in the top 15 or 20 young officials, groom them, put them on games, we work around them to give them feedback through a multiple of mentors and assessors, and that builds a stronger referee. When a referee comes to these academy events, they become significantly better as an official and are able to handle more competitive games as time goes on. So the process that we have here, which is supported by the organization, is one that I think is going to be around for a while, and that we can always grow upon.
The mentors themselves work a showcase game the first evening of the tournament, which is watched and evaluated by the Academy officials, followed by a post-game discussion between the crew and the Academy referees to discuss events from the match. This allows the Academy participants to pick the brains of the referees and learn the thought process behind their decisions. The goal of the Academy is to prepare young and up-and-coming officials to take the next step in their referee careers at the state level. Evaluations and progress can lead to assignments in Midwest Regional League and Developmental Academy League games, as well as participation at USASA and USYSA Region 2 tournaments. There is an evaluation process before approval for participation in the Academy. Applicants need to show an acceptable level of competence in basic referee skills such as professionalism, fitness, and foul recognition before they can be selected for participation. For more information on the Prairie Cup Referee Academy, please contact Matt Tiano or John Hagenstein by going to the web address on the screen and following the referees link. As always, we hope that you find our podcast helpful and informative, so get out there and apply some of this new information in your games. Have fun!